Rightio. Okay, so to finish off today, I want to try and extend our view to what cryptos may look like over the next 20 years. Now, really, standing here, my guess is as good as yours. But the thing is, I love tech. I really love tech, and I spend any spare waking moment, of the very few waking moments I have, looking at new cutting-edge tech. Now, obviously, every time you hear of a new tech, like, give it 10 to 15 years before you actually see a commercial use of it. In fact, literally just before I came on stage, Facebook collared me with another ad, and it said, a graphene aerogel is 99.8% air and as strong as steel. Like, that's crazy. And it looks amazing. Yeah, bulletproof everything, indestructible cars, and like the stuff that you can do with that, like, there must be thousands of different things that you can do. Airbags and whatever. So yeah, I mean, the future is very bright. Obviously, whenever you're seeing these headlines, you really have to, yeah, it's not going to be around anytime soon. And hell, graphene has been around since 2009, and we still haven't got a real world killer commercial application because, and they won't until you get something which is going to make shitloads of money. Until there is an application where someone can make shitloads of money, then it will remain amongst the geeks and scientists, etc., which is a shame, to be honest. So, whenever you're looking towards the future, there is a really good saying, I don't know who said it, but it said, forecast what may happen, but don't put a darn date on it, which I think is valid advice. And there's so many times where people have said something may happen at a certain date, and they're either completely wrong or half wrong, and then eventually 5 or 10 years later, they are correct. So I'm going to ignore that quote, and I'm going to try and put a date on it. So when you're looking towards the future, you really need to take the biggest view possible first, and then go down into the weeds. So first of all, we need to have a look at the sort of the 30,000 foot view, and I got my friend Mystic Meg to give me a little help. And we really need to look at the network ruler Cryptonomics. Now, this is a term I just made up, but it sounds cool, so I'm going to run with it. And basically, you have to understand that humans are the most sociable animals or species on the planet. We network naturally. We create language so we can communicate with each other and we can convey more information. Everything is about transferring of some form, whether it's we're trying to transfer our emotions, our feelings, instructions, or anything. And so we create little, we have our families, and we create little tribes, and then hamlets and villages, and then we're turning into cities, and then all of a sudden we have a whole world which is completely interconnected. And basically, you've heard me say this before, that cryptos are the evolution of money, and DLTs are the revolution of trust. But what the hell does that actually mean? It's all very well, like, you can pay lip service to it and go, yeah, it's the revolution of trust, but what does it really mean? So you have to understand who the network rulers are of the planet right now. And the thing is, the crypto's biggest superpower, which really does go, which is under-acknowledged, is that disintermediation is the biggest superpower the cryptos have. Yes, we can transfer value now. Like, the internet was an amazing invention where we could, or in fact, the telephone, I would argue, is that it was even more revolutionary than the internet, because we went from no communication at distance or in a time efficient sense to, oh my lord, we can speak with someone on the other side of the planet. We could then convey information at the speed of light almost. What the internet did was just basically put telephones on steroids, and we can really emit information over long distances. And cryptos, we're basically, not only are we emitting information from one to another without any middlemen, we can now transfer value. And we've never really been able to transfer value like this before. But yeah, the biggest superpower it has is basically getting rid of all middlemen. Anything that has control, trust, or power, or i.e. middlemen, they're going to be screwed. They're going to be displaced, and it's going to happen with or without cryptos. We're already seeing this with, Airbnb being the biggest hotel company in the world, hotel company in the world doesn't own a hotel. Spotify, Uber, like all of these companies are disrupting the old norms. But cryptos are going to be disrupting the disruptors. So Spotify, world's biggest music company, doesn't own any music, but it's a centralized thing. It's a private entity that is the central focus point. Yeah? Well, cryptos will just get rid of Spotify because we can have an open source network where we are all swapping music for free. Napster, I guess, was the first real example of this, wasn't it? Does anyone remember Napster? Yeah. And BitTorrent, hell, that was the first real sort of distributed Pirate Bay, I guess. So here is the power landscape. You really need to understand who has the power. And unfortunately, most people think it's, the big countries, organizations, etc. But it's more than that. Every single thing around us is a network. Money is a network. Religion is a network. Corporations, roads, infrastructures, electricity, search, telecommunications, pharmaceuticals. The stock market is a network. Pretty much everything is a network. And guess what all of these have in common? Someone controls it. Someone controls it, dictates what happens within it. I mean, who is the head of Christians? The Pope, yeah. What about a country? It will be the Prime Minister or Parliament or Congress or whatever. Even national roads, that is a network in two senses. So really, it's not a case of who's in power. It's not Trump versus Jinping or Putin, etc. Most politicians, they're only there for 4 to 8 years. Or in case of Jinping, like China have just passed a rule that, is it President Xi or Jinping? He's now in power forever until he dies. He's just passed his own law so that there are no more re-elections. He is in power until he dies, which is just nuts.
Putin's been there for 18 years.
Yeah, and Putin, he's got like 90% popularity vote, which is unheard of in any. Sorry. Apparently, yeah, but that's unheard of in any sort of a modern country. But yeah, it's who controls the networks that everyone needs. We need telecommunications, roads, internet. Hell, Google search is a network. We all need that stuff. And what you'll find out is that the biggest networks on the planet are the money network and the energy network. And my tinfoil hat theory is that whoever owns the money network also owns the energy network. Because if you own the money network, you have the ability to own anything you want, basically. And Baron Mayer one of the Rothschilds in the 1600s said, "I don't care who is in power, it's whoever controls the money supply controls the country." I've bastardized that quote, but it's pretty close. So yeah, whoever controls these money networks controls the world. And the thing is, they're probably quite scared, or it depends which way you think about it. There is in fact, I'm just curious, hands up if you think cryptos and Bitcoin was created by a benevolent, person that wants to send the power to the people. Hands up. Okay, go and put them wide up. Okay, so does that mean everyone else here thinks that the elite created cryptos and Bitcoin? Possibly. No? Okay.
50-50 on both.
50-50, yeah. Interesting. Do you know who created 85% of the original Bitcoin algorithm? The NSA. Do you know who created SHA256 bit encryption?
NSA.
The NSA. By the way, SHA256 bit encryption is supposedly one. In fact, James, where is James? James, how secure is SHA256? Pretty secure. There's no way you could do a brute force attack on SHA256, is there?
Not economically yet.
Yeah, it would take a long time and a lot of resources, yeah. I saw a YouTube video on how secure is SHA256, and the example is something stupid like if you got every computer on the planet combined to try and brute force attack a SHA256, it would take something like 1 billion years. Something stupid like YouTube it.
But then even then, if we do get quantum computers to break SHA-256, we just go to SHA-512. and it's twice that, logarithmically, like exponentially.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, if the NSA created pretty much all of Bitcoin and SHA256, which is basically the thing that encrypts nearly every crypto on the planet, it wouldn't be so far or in extreme to suggest that they could have also put a backdoor in it. So, yeah. But anyway, regardless of who created Bitcoin, etc., when you look at the world in terms of networks and network rulers, you can sort of picture or understand why stuff happens. Like the whole thing that's going on with Syria, this is very controversial. Everyone's going to think I'm a nutcase by the end of this. Like it's nothing to do with, Assad killing his own people or anything. It's about the gas lines. This is an energy play and a global positioning play. Basically, it's a case of who supplies Europe with natural gas. We have, let's call it the East, which is basically, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Russia-backed, and also Chinese-backed pipeline. And we have the Western one. And they all happen to go through Syria. And that is the reason there. And also remember, war is an investment. You don't spend tens of billions of pounds going to war just to, put a new dictator in because he's killing his kids or his population. They need a return on investment, and the ROI typically tends to be oil. Why have we not invaded Zimbabwe and got rid of all the despot dictators in Africa? Because most of them don't have any resources to, it's where's the ROI? So yeah, and it's interesting because North Korea, I think, is sat on a bit of a precipice here because they could, this dude could be very smart or very stupid. Basically, South Korea, well, they're not very friendly with North Korea, but even they've said that North Korea sat on $10 trillion worth of rare earth minerals. Rare earth minerals are the 17 rarest elements on the planet, and nothing electronic would work without these rare earth minerals. North Korea has $10 trillion worth of them, untapped. There's not even mines on them. They've literally just got them all over the country. So North Korea could be really bad because he could maintain that crazy, Team America style evil henchman, and then he'll end up getting nuked and invaded. Or he could play, the smart card and then go, right, we're going to open up our borders. And then allow all the energy companies in and allow America, allow the West to try and bring it up to modern day standards and put in all the, the energy companies in. And the thing is, most network rulers, when you read enough books, you can sort of understand that the biggest fear that most of these despots have is retention of power. That's all they care about. They got all the money in the world. All they care about is the retention of power. And I see, from where little old Norwich boy is seeing this, I see the only way that he can retain power and be king of North Korea, etc., is by letting in the world. And the thing is, if he does do that, North Korea could turn into one of the richest countries on the planet if he does that. And also, if the moment their borders are open for business, just like Myanmar has recently done, and like China did in 1976, I'm going to be on the first freaking plane to North Korea. I really am. It's a good investment opportunity. With its risks, obviously. Depends how open borders they become. And also, online networks are gaining real influence. I think this has scared a few of the old school network rulers in the past because we now have massive companies like Google, Apple, Amazon, just popping up from nowhere, literally in the space of 15 odd years, who now have real hardcore influence. Take Facebook, 2.1 billion monthly active users. Technically, Zuckerberg is king of the world, with the world's biggest country. As the internet grows, as more tech grows, the world is going to be less borderless, and it's going to be more online communities, so to speak. Zuckerberg has real clout these days. And I have a really good friend called Thomas Power. And in 2010, he made a video on Facebook, etc., and saying that Facebook, if they play their cards right, could end up being the World Bank. And he was laughed at. But the thing is, it doesn't seem so stupid anymore, does he? With 2.1 billion monthly active users, he could easily become the World Bank. And I've said this for about a year, that Facebook, I think it's just a matter of case of when Facebook launch Facecoin or Facebook coin, that's going to be a bit of a game changer, because 2 billion odd people, and all of a sudden you have Facebook have their own currency. I think that could be the unofficial global world reserve currency. Because the dollar, no one really trusts the dollar anymore because they're just printing it into oblivion. Yes, Facebook would also have the ability to just print it. But the thing is, it would have actual value from day one, because at the end of the day, it's all about day trading attention. Attention is everything these days, and Facebook have that. And I think what would happen is that they'll probably say, right, all advertisers, you have to buy your adverts through Facecoin. So they'll then force advertisers like myself and other bigger companies. I've got a friend that spends $300,000 a month on Facebook. So he'd be forced to buy Facecoin, etc. And I think what would probably happen is we'd all get a massive airdrop of like 10,000 Facebook coins each, and that gives you extra comments, shares, likes, etc. And just so we can use it. And also, I've said this before, like when you open up your Facebook app, what is literally right in the center at the top, where all the attention getters are? Marketplace. Not many people use it at the moment, but it's been there a good 3 years, Marketplace. And hell, this is why I think Facebook are trying to take eBay out eventually, because it knows everything about you. It knows where you live, it knows what you do, it knows all your likes and preferences. Facebook really know what I like. I actually quite like the personalization of the newsfeed. I get all my tech stuff, always delivered. But it could easily take out eBay if it wanted to. That may be the case. So it could be the World Bank, and it could be the World Insurance Company. Like, with that much clout, it could go to the world's biggest insurance company and go, right, we're now going to do car insurance, and there's nothing you can do to stop us. Either we take you out, or you can give us a really good bulk discount. Hell, in fact, they wouldn't even need to go use other brokers. They could underwrite everything themselves, couldn't they? So I don't think there's anything that they couldn't do. They can be the world's biggest insurance company, world's biggest whatever. So it's something to be aware of. Amazon, I wouldn't be surprised if Facebook, Amazon, and Apple launch their own cryptos in the future. Another reason why I think the stock market will end up being gobbled up by cryptos. Everything will be tokenized, everything. So yeah, power is within the network controllers. And this is why DLTs are so important, because they can disrupt anything that has existing power, control, or trust. And also, like we had, like back in the day, like people said that, the internet would never take off because who are you going to send your electronic mail to? No one's got a freaking email address. Well, now, fast forward, the world does not work without email. And these days, we're getting the same types of critics that are saying, who are you going to send your fancy monopoly internet money to? No one has a monopoly money address. Well, yeah, at the moment we don't. But give it 5 years, I think most people will have a wallet. And especially Simon yesterday mentioned of a new venture called IOV, which is new to me. And basically what they're trying to do is to make wallets way easier. So when the internet first started, if you wanted to go to a website, you had to type in the actual IP address, 192.168 or dot whatever. It's not very catchy, is it? People can't remember a string of numbers, but people can remember Amazon.com. And what they're trying to do is do the same, but for your web wallet, for your wallets. So if you want to do transactions or get money from your friends, on a night out, etc., just ping some Bitcoin over to Siam's wallet. Money. I don't know. And at the end of the day, what do you care more about, money or emails? It's money. And I think cryptos will have a far bigger impact because we now have the internet as a sort of a trampoline for mass adoption. So disintermediation is the secret superpower. Yes, people always are focused on the transfer of value, but it's screwing over the existing networks of amongst the planet. And I think whoever the old elite are, they're probably, like, assuming cryptos and Bitcoin weren't created by the elite, they're probably thinking, how the hell do we risk of not being disintermediated? I think one of the future, let's take energy. I think it's already happening. Basically, it won't be long, give it 20, maybe 30 years, we will have disintermediated, decentralized energy networks. So most buildings will become smart buildings. They'll be completely self-sufficient in terms of power, water, maybe food if 3D printing picks up. And so we won't really be reliant on a national grid. So we'll have smart buildings and that we can transfer water and energy between buildings, etc. Well, if that happens, or when that happens, what happens to the big energy companies like E.ON, EDF, etc.? So I actually believe there's a guy called Jeremy Rifkin who is like my future solar tech type sort of mentor. Like you should read his books. He's written like 20 of them. But yeah, he said that basically these energy companies are actually going to end up making more money in the future by giving out less energy. So what the first movers should be doing, like E.ON, which they're already doing this. E.ON, I think in Germany, they're already setting up a huge initiative to basically create the infrastructure of a decentralized energy network. So instead of being energy providers, they're going to be sort of slowly pivoting into energy data miners or etc. So they're really embracing the Internet of Things. I've got a presentation. I'm halfway through. It's interesting what's going on.
There's a part of that where currently the way we produce energy, we have the 50 hertz or 60 hertz, depending on what country you're in, duty cycle on AC. When you create solar, if you're creating solar on your roof, your inverter that then creates a 50 hertz or 60 hertz duty cycle AC, that might not be in sync with your next door neighbour's one. So they're currently trying to work a way of getting centralised locations to keep the duty cycles in sync, because if you're running off your next door neighbour's power and your power is going to be out of phase with each other, you're not going to get the power. So that's one of the problems that they're suffering at the moment, that companies like E.ON would be in the place to fix, essentially.
Yeah. So basically what we will see is cryptos will replace networks with lots of mini markets or lots of decentralized networks, so to speak. We'll have thousands of markets that will be transparent, tamper-resistant, decentralized, efficient, no middlemen, merit-based, and also leaderless. And I call it the trust nuke. At the moment, everyone's fixated on money and the banking system, but this is what we will see. Whilst everyone's focused over here on money and banking, we'll see many industries all of a sudden disappear, or even new ones appear instead of it.